Well, I first got into poultry farming in 1992. We had farms, and my dad had a heart attack, so we got out of farming, but I never left agriculture. And so we did work with an agriculture chemical company, and I did a lot of studies all over the United States. And we got a chance to come back to North Carolina and do some work. And I got a chance to come back to our farm and actually do that work, and I kind of got the bug to stay on the farm. And that's the exact moment that the poultry companies came in and were selling this idea of, look, grow chickens on contract for us, and you know, we'll grow together, we'll profit together. And it seemed like a good fit. The most attractive thing about the poultry business was the fact that I got to stay on the farm. I mean, my goal was, at that point in time, I had just gotten engaged. We were getting ready to get married, so I was going to settle here on the farm. I was going to raise some chickens, and I was going to raise some kids, and I was going to die. And I didn't want anything to complicate that, but it just didn't work out that way.
It was basically to enhance my retirement after I retired, you know, and after he, you know, passed or whatever, you know, be passed on or whatever. And it, you know, it kind of sounded like a good deal, you know, and they tell you it don't really cost all that much.
And they sent a representative out to my home, and he sat down and he started scribbling on a piece of paper, and, you know, look here, 10 years, you're going to be out of debt. Getting out of debt and being my own independent businessman, that was enough.
And when it first came up, you know, with the contract and everything, you know, they figured they told us it'd be about 7 years we'd have them paid for. Well, we're getting ready to make our last payment right now after 25 years.
Initially, I think it was okay, but I'm not sure if I just didn't know enough or it actually was okay. It seemed like it was, but then I've heard farmers refer to it over the years as the honeymoon phase. And then that kind of abruptly ends, and then they bring that next contract out. We got your birds coming in a couple hours. Here's our new contract. If you want them, sign it. That's when things started going south.
Everything is controlled by Perdue. It is controlled by Tyson. It is controlled by Pilgrims. Everything is controlled. You don't have no say on what, anything, or they don't bring you chickens. It is not a healthy business to be in because you're stressed out the whole time them birds are here. And then after they leave, you're stressed out because they're holding over your head whether you're going to get chickens back.
I just knew right then that that debt would make a man very pliable to do things, you know, and I always said you can control a man two ways, a debt and a sword. And at this point, I'll take the sword. It's quick and painless. I paid farm credit payments every year I was in the business for 23 and a half years. I have been out of the business for over 6 years. I'm still paying farm credit for these buildings. In December of 22, they'll finally be paid for. So this initial 10-year note took me 30 years to pay off.
If it weren't for mine and Pat's retirement, we would probably be declared bankruptcy, you know, when all this happened to us. It's not the glorious picture that they paint you when you get into this stuff. I mean, you know, they tell you that there's about 5 things you got to do, and then you find out there's 5 things they got to do, and there's 25 you got to do.
I woke up one morning and I had enough. I asked my wife, could I quit? She said, I told you that 2 years ago. That's all I needed. I had enough of being a slave on my own farm, a serf with a mortgage, somebody else dictating my successes or failures. I just had enough of the disrespect of how integral farmers are to this business. They're looked at as an expendable resource.
I was a top producer probably 20 to 30 times while I worked with Perdue. I was a top producer for the whole route in 2005 and 2010. So if they'll get rid of me, they'll get rid of anybody. It's a miserable business, you know.